The PFL, given that they bought out Bellator and they're doing their thing right there, they're really trying to make a run at being number two, right? They want to be the number two organization in the MMA landscape. But PFL is kind of also running into some money problems right here. Gegard Mousasi, he says the PFL is sitting out top Bellator fighters because they're not currently making enough money to honor their contracts, which is like, you probably should have thought about that before you acquired Bellator, but no big deal. He wants to fight, but he says the promotion's trying to wait until he's desperate so they could offer him less money. Ultimately, yeah, he's just saying more of that in these next following quotes. The PFL, they took over the contracts. Bellator fighters make more than the PFL guys, so they're trying to cut salaries, maybe put some pressure, a little bit of politics. Let me not fight for a year and say, hey, take half your pay, something like that. When they took over, they wanted all the top 10 fighters. That's what they said. And I think Bellator fighters are also the better fighters, because I'm pretty sure when they did head-to-head PFL Bellator like swept them or had like one, PFL got one win. So basically, after the UFC, they want to be number two. So now they're number two, I guess, but I don't hear them making any money. That's the whole entire thing. This is part one of part two that I'm going to be talking about right here, AJ. But what are your thoughts just on that initial take? PFL, you acquire Bellator, you're making this run to try to position yourself in the hierarchy, and then you got all the fighters talking about this fighter pay stuff, which doesn't look good given that UFC catches all this flack for fighter pay, but at least they're paying their fighters. At least they're fighting them. At least they're honoring their contracts. What do you think?
Yeah, this is a rough one, Derek, because it's not a good look for a company that has $1 million bonus. Like you have a whole season, everybody's fighting for $1 million, but you can't pay your people. Like you can't just not like just throw them some cash from the ticket sales or whatever the case. Like it is not a good look going forward. But I do think at the same time you got to give some credit or some heed, if you will, to the PFL organization, because man, that's a hot button for every fighter out there that has any problem with their organization, right? We like you said, Uncle Dana's always catching flack for not paying fighters, but he does. He pays out 300,000 bonuses, for instance, but it is only a one time. So there are some things that seem to be consistent in the MMA organizations, and unfortunately, until there's a league or what's the not a picket line, what's the thing there? A union, a fighters union. Until there's a fighters union. This is going to be the same thing over and over again until that happens. I feel bad, but there's not much we can do.
One thing I will say, man, and this is just from my own experience right here, PFL, they come out to Vegas and they do the thing, right? I've been to my fair share of a couple PFL shows. Let's just say, AJ, for not a lot of money, you're getting some pretty fantastic seats, and there's not a lot of people in there. I remember it was Sadabu Sai, I'm talking about the head kick knockout dude, champ at PFL. He just lost his last one. I think he got broken. Anyways, so he was fighting championship fight there, the whole entire 9, right? They moved us. They were like, hey, we need y'all all to come up to the front so it looks like there's more people than there actually are. Like, got on TV the whole 9, right? Like they were showing with the camera. So that's kind of the point right there. Who knows? It's kind of like one championship where they've got like 1 billion fans globally, and it's like, how can you? What's the metric that's actually? I don't know, man. So yeah, PFL money issues. That's what we see. But like I said, AJ, that was part one. Part two. Saba Hamasi, right? Another Bellator fighter. He reveals PFL owes him $32,000 in surgery reimbursement. You got to take care of your fighters. So when we head on over to MMA Mania, one more time right here, ultimately this dude is just saying, listen, hey, I fractured my orbital, went from the venue to the hospital, so they knew everything was wrong. Asked me if I was going to do surgery in Ireland. I said, no, I'm going to fly home and do surgery with my docs back home. Came home, saw my doctor, have a date for surgery. Next thing you know, they call my doctor and ask him if they could postpone for 2 to 3 weeks. I need to go and get operated, all of that good stuff. Ultimately, they said that they suggested, hey, just go pay it out of pocket, right? We'll reimburse you. So long and short, just kind of summarize the whole entire article right there for you. They said that they're going to reimburse him, and now that he needs his 32 racks for that reimbursement right there. So what would you do, man, when the company is supposed to be like the UFC? Again, right? You get hurt, they're going to send you to the doctor. You're going to get some of the best medical treatment in the world right there, and they're going to take care of you. They're not going to leave you on the hook for a medical bill. So what incentivizes you to say, for example, Paul Hughes, really big prospect right here, right? There was the battle. He's going to go to the UFC. Where's he going to go? PFL. He decided to opt with the PFL. If you look at Cedric Doumbé, right? PFL. What's the big allure to go with the PFL if we're having these financial issues?
None. I mean, the fact that you might be able to be a star, like your name might be able to shine because it can't shine with all the other greats in the UFC. So there's that allure. But at the same time, man, you're having to hold yourself on the hook for $32K, and then your company's still trying to give you the Josh around to not be able to pay you back, man. I get it. They're 1099s, right? They're their own people. They're their own employees, and it's a kind of a contract basis thing. So there's nothing legal wrong, but there's something moral wrong going on right there, and it's a rough one to kind of try to get anybody else to back the PFL right now.
Fair take right there. That's our assessment of the PFL financial situation, if you will, right there.